My sister begged me to stay quiet for 20 years. Not please don't tell Mom. Not keep it between us. She begged like someone drowning, fingers white around my wrists, eyes wild, voice shaking, like if I spoke a single sentence out loud, her whole life would crack in half. And the worst part? I promised her. I promised her on a night that smelled like rain and hospital disinfectant, with a cheap gold cross digging into my palm, because she pressed it there like it was a lock, and my silence was the key. But here's the thing nobody tells you about secrets. They don't stay still. They grow teeth. They bite every happy moment until you start wondering if your joy is even allowed. So when I stood up at my own wedding, glass raised, microphone warm in my hand, everyone smiling like nothing ugly could exist in a room full of fairy lights, my sister looked at me like she already knew, like she could hear the past breathing behind my teeth. And she mouthed, barely moving her lips, "Don't." I smiled back like a good sister, and I began my speech. Because 20 years is a long time to carry something that was never yours to hold. My sister Nadia has always been the kind of person who walks into a room and it rearranges itself around her. She laughs too loudly, hugs too tightly, calls strangers sweetheart like she's known them for years. People trust her without knowing why. It's like she knows how to pour warmth into her voice. Me? I've always been the careful one, the note-taker, the watcher, the one who notices what people forget they're showing. Growing up, we shared a bedroom that was too small for two lives, two twin beds pressed against opposite walls, a strip of carpet between us like a border, a window that stuck in summer, a dresser with a broken handle, and one tiny jewelry box on Nadia's bedside table that she guarded like it contained a beating heart. That jewelry box was the first symbol of our whole story, though I didn't know it yet. It was wooden, painted pale blue, with tiny roses on the lid. Our grandmother gave it to Nadia on her 13th birthday. Inside was a cheap gold cross on a thin chain, a little tarnished even back then. Nadia wore it every day after that, until the night she didn't. I was 16. Nadia was 18. It was the night everything changed, one of those nights you only understand later, when you look back and realize the air itself had shifted. It started with a phone call. Nadia answered in the hallway, whispering like she didn't want the walls to learn her words. I only caught pieces. No, I can't. You promised. Then the front door slammed so hard the glass shook. Nadia stormed into our room, cheeks blotched red, hair half falling out of its clip. She grabbed the jewelry box, ripped it open, and the gold cross clinked like a warning. What happened? I asked. She spun around so fast her eyes flashed. Nothing. Your face says it's something. She didn't answer. She just sat on her bed, shoulders hunched, like she was trying to fold into herself. Then, with hands that didn't stop trembling, she unclasped the cross and pressed it into my palm. Hold this, she said. It was warm from her skin. The chain slid between my fingers like a tiny snake. Nadia, why? Just hold it. She snapped, then immediately softened, her voice collapsing. Please. Just, please. I didn't know what to do except nod. That's when she looked at me, really looked, and I saw something in her that terrified me. Fear. Yes. But also guilt. The kind of guilt that doesn't come from breaking a vase, the kind that comes from breaking a person. Nadia, I whispered, what did you do? She squeezed her eyes shut. I didn't mean to. My stomach went cold. Did someone hurt you? She laughed once, sharp and broken. I hurt someone. Those words made the room feel smaller. The wallpaper seemed to press in. Even the old fan in the corner sounded louder, like it was eavesdropping. And then she told me. Not all of it. Not the full, clear picture. Nadia never gave me a clean story. She gave me fragments, shattered glass pieces I spent years stepping on. She told me about a boy. An older boy. Someone who had been around our family, who had smiled at our parents like he belonged there. Someone our mother trusted. She told me she'd been stupid. She told me she'd been in love. She told me she'd gotten in too deep. Then her voice dropped so low I almost didn't hear it. "There's a baby," she said. I stared at her. "What?" "A baby," she repeated, like saying it twice made it real. I had a baby." My body went numb. "Nadia, no. When?" She looked away. "Last month." "Last month? But you were here. You were going to college visits. You were—" "I wasn't," she said, and her voice shattered. "I wasn't here. I told you I was at Sarah's. I told Mom it was a school trip. She dragged a hand through her hair like she could rip the memory out. I wasn't here. I couldn't breathe. The cross chain bit into my skin as my fist tightened without realizing. "Where is the baby?" I managed. Her eyes flicked to mine, and there was something almost pleading in them. "Safe." "Safe where?" Nadia swallowed. "Not here." My throat tightened. "You gave it away?" Her shoulders started shaking. I didn't have a choice. Something inside me snapped. There's always a choice. She flinched like I'd slapped her. "You don't understand." "Then make me understand." She grabbed my wrist, hard. "Listen to me," she hissed, so close I could smell mint gum and panic. "You cannot tell anyone. You cannot. Not Mom, not Dad, not aunties, not your best friend, not anyone. Promise me." "Nadia, promise me," she demanded, tears spilling now. "They'll destroy me. They'll destroy us. Her voice broke into a sob. "They'll take everything." I stared at her. My sister, the girl who used to dance in the kitchen barefoot, who used to sing into hairbrushes, who used to swear she'd never let anyone control her. Now she looked controlled. Cornered. "Who knows?" I asked. Her jaw tightened. "Not many." "Who?" She hesitated, and that hesitation told me more than words ever could. I whispered, "Is it someone in this family?" Nadia's silence was an answer. The air went thick. The fan hummed. The cross in my hand felt heavier than metal. She pressed her forehead to mine, crying now like a child. "Please," she begged, "just keep me safe. Just keep me safe." And because she was my sister, because I loved her more than I loved being right, I said the words that would ruin parts of my life for the next 20 years. "I promise." Nadia exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for months. She kissed my knuckles like the promise was holy. Then she wiped her face and stood up. "Good," she said, voice suddenly calm in a way that didn't match her eyes. "Then it's done." She took the jewelry box back, but not the cross. "No," she said, noticing my confusion. "You keep it." "Why?" "Because if I keep it," she whispered, "I'll remember what I did. And I can't afford to remember. That gold cross stayed with me, in drawers, in pockets, in jewelry boxes of my own, in the bottom of purses, in the back of closets. It followed me like a shadow I couldn't outrun. And every time I touched it, it reminded me I wasn't just holding metal. I was holding someone's entire, untold life. Now jump 20 years forward. My wedding day. White dress. Warm lights, the kind of happiness people photograph and frame. Nadia is my maid of honor, flawless as always. Perfect hair, perfect makeup, perfect smile that never reaches her eyes when she looks at me too long. And when the DJ announces, the bride will now give a speech. Nadia's hand tightens around her champagne glass. Her knuckles go white. Because she knows me. She knows I'm careful, and careful people don't suddenly grab microphones unless something inside them has finally cracked. I stand up. Everyone cheers. My husband squeezes my hand, proud, trusting, unaware. I lift my glass, and I see Nadia's face, soft, pretty, terrified. She shakes her head once. Just once. A silent command. Don't. But the gold cross is in my pocket, pressing against my thigh like a heartbeat. And I realize I've been holding this secret so long, I don't even know who I am without it. So I smile. I tap the mic. And I begin. I clear my throat, letting the room settle. The clinking of cutlery fades. Someone laughs at the wrong moment, then quiets. Fairy lights hum softly above us, warm and forgiving. This is the part weddings are supposed to get right. The love, the gratitude, the safe stories. My sister, I begin, smiling toward Nadia, has always been my protector. A ripple of approving murmurs moves through the crowd. Nadia exhales, just a little. Relief loosens her shoulders. She's the kind of person who steps in front of storms, I continue, even when no one asks her to. Nadia nods, lips pressed into a polite smile. She thinks she knows this speech. She thinks I'm doing what I always do, choosing the careful version of the truth. I pause, letting the silence stretch just long enough to feel intentional. And sometimes, I say gently, she protects people by asking them to carry things they were never meant to hold. Her eyes flick to mine. Sharp. Questioning. I take a sip of champagne. The bubbles burn like courage. When we were younger, I go on, Nadia taught me something important. She taught me that love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's staying silent, even when your chest feels like it's going to cave in. The room stays warm. People smile. This still sounds poetic. Harmless. Nadia relaxes again. She shouldn't. 20 years ago, I say, voice steady, my sister asked me to make a promise. Her smile freezes. I see it, the exact moment she realizes this isn't a nostalgia speech. It's a timeline. She straightens in her chair. Her hand slides off the table and into her lap, fingers curling like she's gripping something invisible. A promise, I repeat, that shaped both of our lives. Someone near the front tilts their head, interested. My mother smiles, dabbing her eyes, already emotional. I look at Nadia fully now. And because I loved her, I say, I kept that promise. Her mouth opens slightly, then closes. Good, I think. You're listening now. For a long time, I continue. I believed silence was loyalty. I believed that protecting someone meant swallowing the truth whole and letting it sit in your stomach until it burned. Nadia's leg starts bouncing. She presses it still with her heel. My husband glances at me, curious but trusting. He squeezes my hand again. I squeeze back, harder than necessary. But today, I say, standing here, starting a life built on honesty, I realize something. I reach into my pocket. Nadia sees the movement. Her breath stutters. I pull out the gold cross. It catches the light, small and unassuming, dangling from my fingers like it has no idea how much weight it carries. A murmur ripples through the room. That's beautiful, someone whispers. It's old, I say softly, cheap, tarnished, but it's been with me longer than almost anything else I own. Nadia's face drains of color. She shakes her head again, faster this time. Please, I don't look away. This cross, I continue, was given to me the night my sister asked me to disappear a truth. Gasps. Quiet ones. Confused ones. My mother frowns. What truth? She mouths, not into a mic, just to herself. Nadia's eyes glisten now. Her hands are clenched so tight I can see the tendons straining. I hold the cross up higher. For 20 years, I say, this has been my reminder of love and fear and the cost of keeping quiet. The room feels colder suddenly, like someone opened a door. This isn't a confession, I add calmly. It's a reflection. Nadia lets out a small, broken sound, almost a laugh, almost a sob. I hear her whisper, "Stop." I don't. Because when you stay silent long enough, I say, you start to forget who the silence is protecting and who it's hurting. People shift in their seats now. Smiles fade. Curiosity sharpens into discomfort. My aunt leans toward my mother. My cousin stops chewing. Nadia stands up. The scrape of her chair against the floor is loud in the quiet. She looks like she might bolt. I turn toward her, not aggressive, not angry. Just honest. This speech, I say gently, is about love. Her eyes flash. She mouths, "You promised." I nod. I did. She takes a step toward me, shaking her head desperately. "Please," she whispers, "you're ruining everything." Her voice cracks on the word everything. I lower the mic slightly, enough that the room can still hear, but so it feels like I'm talking to her. I carried this so you wouldn't have to, I say. But today is the first day of my marriage. I won't carry it into my future. Her knees buckle just a little. Someone near the back whispers, "What is she talking about?" I raise the mic again. 20 years ago, I say clearly, my sister gave birth. The word lands like glass, shattering. Silence. Pure, absolute silence. My mother's face goes slack. "What?" she breathes. My father stares straight ahead like his mind refuses to move. Nadia lets out a sound that isn't human. "No," she says loudly. "No, no, no. I kept your secret," I say, voice firm but not cruel. "I kept it when you went to college. I kept it when you married. I kept it when you introduced us to your first child and pretended it was your only beginning." My husband's hand slips from mine. I feel it. I keep going. "I kept it when you cried at night for reasons you never explained," I say. "I kept it when you told me forgetting was easier than remembering." Nadia covers her face. My mother stands abruptly. "This isn't funny," she snaps. "Stop this right now." I look at her. "I'm not joking," I say, "and I'm not telling this to hurt anyone." Then I turn back to Nadia. "I'm telling it because silence doesn't erase the past," I say. "It just buries it alive." Nadia drops back into her chair, hands shaking uncontrollably. Someone whispers, "There was a baby?" Another voice, "Where is the baby?" I tighten my grip on the cross. "There is someone missing from this story," I say. The room leans forward. "And tonight," I continue, heart pounding, "I need to acknowledge them." Nadia looks up at me, eyes wide with terror. She knows what's coming. Because she knows what I found 3 weeks ago. And she knows, this time, I'm not asking permission. 3 weeks before my wedding, I found the letters. They weren't hidden well, just buried under the kind of mess you only keep when you're afraid of what cleaning might uncover. An old shoebox in the back of Nadia's closet. No label, no lock, just dust and time doing most of the guarding for her. I wasn't snooping, I was helping her pack. That's the lie I still tell myself when I replay that moment. She'd asked me to grab her winter coats from the back shelf. I climbed the step stool, coughed through a cloud of dust, and there it was, plain brown cardboard, soft at the edges, heavier than it should have been. The lid slid off too easily. Inside were envelopes, dozens of them, all addressed in Nadia's handwriting, all returned, all unopened. My hands went cold, the gold cross, because of course it was with me, pressed against my chest as if it already knew. As if it had been waiting for this exact moment. The return address on every envelope was the same. A town 2 hours away. A place I recognized instantly because Nadia and I had driven through it once on a family road trip. We stopped for gas. She'd gone pale, asked to leave. I'd forgotten about it until my fingers traced the familiar street name now. I sat on the floor of her closet and opened one. The paper inside was thin. The ink faded in places, darker in others where tears had soaked through. "I don't know if you'll ever read this," the letter began. "But if you do, I need you to know, I didn't disappear because I didn't want you." My breath hitched. They told me this was the only way to keep everyone safe. They told me you'd have a better life without me confusing it. They told me I was being selfish for wanting to stay. I flipped to the next letter. "You have my eyes. I know it. I dream about them." Another. "I see your birthday on the calendar every year. I light a candle. I say your name out loud, even if no one hears it. My vision blurred. There was a name in the letters, always the same. A name I had never heard Nadia say. A name that pulsed like a living thing on the page. I didn't read them all. I couldn't. My chest felt like it was splitting open. That night I confronted her. She tried to lie, just for a second. Muscle memory, maybe. Then she saw the box in my hands. And she collapsed. Not gracefully, not dramatically. She slid down the wall like gravity finally won. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out, just air, just panic. "You wrote to them," I said quietly. "You always knew where they were." Nadia nodded, tears streaming. "I wasn't allowed to visit. I wasn't allowed to call." Writing was all they let me have. "Who is they?" I asked. Her silence was louder than any answer. I didn't push. Not then. But I made a decision. And that decision is what brought us here. To fairy lights and champagne flutes and a room full of people who thought they knew us. Back in the present, at my wedding, the room is holding its breath. There are letters, I say into the mic now, my voice steadier than my heart. Letters that prove this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't forgetting. This was love, forced into hiding. My mother grips the back of a chair. My father finally looks at Nadia. She won't look back. She didn't vanish, I continue. She was erased. Nadia shakes her head violently. "Please," she sobs, "you don't know what you're doing." I step closer to her. "I know exactly what I'm doing," I say softly. "I'm ending the silence." The room is buzzing now, whispers stacking on whispers, confusion turning sharp, judgment starting to form. "There is someone who should have been at this wedding," I say. "Someone who should have been in family photos. Someone who should have had a place at every table we set." My hands tremble as I reach into my purse. Nadia sees it. She stands again. "Don't," she cries. "I begged you." "You begged me to stay quiet," I say. "You never asked me to lie forever." I pull out the photo. It's small, creased at the corners. A candid shot taken from too far away. A teenager laughing, head thrown back, sunlight in their hair. A face that looks too much like ours to deny. Gasps ripple through the room. My mother stumbles forward. "That's," her voice breaks. "That's my," "Yes," I say. "Your grandchild." The word grandchild detonates. Nadia screams. A raw animal sound that cuts through everything. "They don't want this." She cries. "They don't even know us." "That's not true," I say. "They know you. Through letters, through words you poured into envelopes and never got back." I turn to the crowd. 3 weeks ago, I say, I found out where they are. Nadia lunges for me. My husband steps between us without thinking, protective instinct kicking in. The room erupts, voices raised, chairs scraping, shock turning into chaos. "I went there," I say loudly. "I stood across the street. I watched." Nadia sobs, collapsing into a chair again. "You had no right." "I had every right," I say, tears finally spilling. "I carried your secret like it was my own child. I deserve to see who we lost." My mother sinks into a chair, shaking. My father covers his mouth with his hand. "I didn't tell them who I was," I continue. "Not yet. I didn't blow up their life. I just looked." I swallow hard. "And they're here tonight." The room explodes. "What? Here? Where?" Nadia looks up slowly. Her face is wrecked. "What?" she whispers. I point, toward the back of the room. Toward the person who has been sitting quietly all evening, invited under a different name, told only that they were attending a wedding where the truth might finally show itself. A young adult stands. Our eyes meet. And for the first time in 20 years, the secret looks back at us. The room doesn't breathe. It's like the air has been sucked out, sealed tight behind shock and disbelief. Every face is frozen in a different stage of reaction: confusion, horror, recognition, denial. The person at the back of the room stands slowly, like they're afraid sudden movement might shatter something fragile. They're taller than I imagined. Broader shoulders. Our nose. Nadia's mouth. My mother's eyes. There is no mistaking it now. Nadia lets out a sound so small it almost disappears beneath the noise of the room. "No," she whispers. "No, no, no." Her hands fumble at the edge of the table like she needs something solid to hold on to. The young adult, her child, takes one step forward, then stops. "I was told," they say carefully, voice steady but tight, "that this might be intense." A bitter laugh escapes me. That's one way to put it. My mother rises again, trembling so badly my aunt has to steady her. "You," my mother says, pointing, her voice breaking in half, "you look just like." She stops herself. Like who? Like the daughter who vanished at 18 and came back pretending nothing happened? Like the man whose name we never spoke? Like the truth we buried under holidays and polite conversations? The child's gaze moves to Nadia. And everything changes. Because shock is one thing, recognition is another. Nadia stares at them like she's looking at a ghost she's been expecting her entire life. Her lips part. Close. Part again. Her voice cracks completely. I know you. The room murmurs. The child nods once. I know. Nadia shakes her head violently. No, I mean I know you. I know the way you tilt your head when you're nervous. I know your handwriting. I know the way you apologize for things that aren't your fault. She presses a hand to her chest, gasping. I wrote to you every year. The child swallows hard. I know. That word, no, hangs heavy between them. My father finally speaks. His voice is hoarse, like it's scraping its way out. Who helped you? He asks Nadia. Who took the baby? Nadia's eyes flick away. Too quickly. I already know the answer. I've known since the letters. But hearing it out loud still feels like a second betrayal. It was safer that way, Nadia whispers. Say the name, I say. She looks at me like she hates me for making her do this. Then she turns toward the head table, toward the seat that has been empty all night. A seat that should have raised questions. My uncle never showed. My mother's brother. The one who always arrived early and left early. The one who offered help when Nadia disappeared for months. The one who told everyone he handled arrangements. My mother's face crumples. No, she breathes, not him. Nadia nods. He said he was protecting us, Nadia says, tears streaming. He said the family would never survive the truth. He said he knew people who could help. The child's jaw tightens. So that's who decided my life, they say quietly. A man I've never met. I step forward. He also made sure the letters never reached you. Their head snaps toward me. What? He intercepted them, I say. That's why they were returned. That's why you never answered. Nadia sobs. I didn't know. I swear I thought you didn't want me. The child closes their eyes. When they open them again, they're wet but controlled. I always wanted you, they say. I just thought you chose not to find me. That sentence lands harder than any accusation. Nadia collapses into the chair, fully breaking now. My mother sinks beside her, hands shaking, face gray. My God, she whispers. My God. The symbolism hits me then, sharp and unavoidable. The empty chair, the intercepted letters, the cross in my hand. Every object, every absence, every silence suddenly makes sense. This wasn't just about a baby. It was about control. About deciding which truths were acceptable and which ones had to disappear. The child takes another step forward. I didn't come here to destroy anyone, they say, voice firm now. I came because someone finally told me the truth and asked me if I wanted to know where I came from. They look at me. I said yes. Nadia looks up, eyes swollen. Do you hate me? The child doesn't answer right away. I hate the lie, they say finally. I hate the years I spent thinking I wasn't wanted. Nadia nods, sobbing. I deserve that. But, the child adds, voice shaking slightly, I don't hate you. A sound escapes Nadia that might be gratitude or pain, or both. My father stands, straightening like a man who has aged 20 years in 20 minutes. Your place, he says to the child, has always been here. The room goes still again. The child looks uncertain. I don't know what that means. It means, my father says, swallowing, that what was taken from you, we can't undo. But what's left, we can choose to face it. My mother reaches out with trembling hands. May I? She asks. The child hesitates, then nods. My mother hugs them like she's afraid they'll vanish if she lets go. Nadia watches, tears streaming silently. And I realize something important in that moment. This isn't the climax. This is the reckoning. Because there's still one truth left. One that ties everything together. One that explains why my uncle went to such lengths. Why he controlled the story. Why Nadia was terrified of this moment more than anything. I lift the microphone again. There's one more thing, I say. Nadia's head snaps up. No, she pleads. Please, not that. But I'm done stopping. Because secrets don't just hurt the people who keep them, I say. They protect the people who caused them. I look straight at my parents, at our family, at the empty chair. The father, I say calmly, was never just a boy. The room holds its breath. He was someone you trusted. You can feel it when a truth is about to break something. It's like the moment right before thunder, heavy, vibrating, charged with a warning no one can ignore. My mother grips the edge of the table like it's the only thing keeping her upright. My father doesn't sit. He can't. He stands there stiff, jaw clenched, eyes darting, not at Nadia, not at me, but at the empty chair. The father, I repeat, slower this time, each word deliberate, was never just someone passing through our lives. Nadia lets out a sob that sounds more like a whimper. Please, she whispers again, voice shredded. I can't. I look at her, really look at her, and for the first time I understand something I should have seen years ago. She wasn't just afraid of being judged. She was afraid of being believed. He was family, I say. The room erupts. No, that's impossible, you don't mean. My mother shakes her head violently. You stop right now, she says, voice cracking. You are not doing this. My father finally speaks, and his voice is ice cold. Say the name. The child, her child, stands completely still, eyes flicking between faces like they're trying to memorize who everyone becomes in moments like this. Nadia covers her ears. I don't raise my voice. I don't need to. It was Mom's brother, I say. Our uncle. The silence after that is worse than shouting. My mother makes a sound like she's been punched in the stomach. She stumbles backward, hitting a chair, collapsing into it. No, she breathes. No, 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 my father's face drains of all color. His hands ball into fists so tight they shake. The child's head snaps toward Nadia. That's not true, they say sharply. You told me. I told you he was someone powerful, Nadia cries. I told you I was scared. Why didn't you tell me who? The child demands, voice breaking for the first time. Nadia looks at them, eyes filled with agony. Because I wanted you to have a life where that name didn't follow you. My mother presses a hand to her mouth, choking on sobs. My brother, she whispers. My brother? The symbolism hits again, cruel and perfect. The empty chair wasn't just absence, it was avoidance. He didn't come tonight because he knew. He felt the ground shifting. He always did when the truth got too close. My father turns toward me. You knew, he says, not a question, a statement. Yes, I reply. I figured it out when I read the letters, when I saw how terrified she was, not of shame, but of him. Nadia nods, sobbing. He said no one would believe me. He said he'd destroy me. He said if I spoke, I'd lose everything. My mother rocks back and forth. I trusted him, she cries. I left you alone with him. That sentence fractures the room. The child's face goes pale. You mean yes, I say quietly. This didn't start with love. It started with abuse. The word abuse finally gives shape to the monster everyone's been circling. Nadia curls into herself. I was 18. He told me I was special. Then he told me I was ruined. Then he told me the baby would ruin everyone. The child's hands shake. So he decided my life, to save his reputation. And the family's, I add. My father slams his fist onto the table. Glasses rattle. That man will never step foot in this family again. He already hasn't, I say. He ran. My husband, silent until now, steps closer to me. His voice is steady, but his eyes burn. Did he know they'd be here tonight? No, I say. That was my choice. The child exhales slowly. I don't know how to feel. That's okay, I say softly. None of us do. Nadia looks up at them, mascara streaked, face bare and broken. I wanted to find you sooner, she says. I swear. I just didn't know how to survive it. The child studies her for a long moment. Then they say something that changes everything. You survived, they say. But you didn't let me. Nadia nods, accepting it. I know. The room feels heavy now, not with shock, but with grief. The kind that comes when illusions die. My mother wipes her face, looking older than I've ever seen her. We will report him, she says suddenly. I don't care how long it's been. My father nods. Tomorrow. The child stiffens. I didn't ask for that. You didn't have to, my father replies. It's time. I realize then, this wedding has stopped being about me. It's about accountability, about what happens when silence finally loses. The child looks around the room, at faces that are no longer strangers, but aren't family either, not yet. I don't know what I want, they say honestly. But I know I don't want to be a secret anymore. Nadia stands, wiping her face, shoulders trembling. Then you won't be. She takes a step toward them, stops. May I? She asks. The child hesitates, then nods. Nadia wraps her arms around them, crying into their shoulder, not to claim, not to control, but to grieve. I watch, chest aching. And for the first time since I was 16, the cross in my pocket feels lighter. But there's still one thing left to do. One final moment that decides how this story ends. I lift the microphone again. This wedding started as a celebration, I say, and it still is. People look up, exhausted, raw. Because tonight, I continue, a life stolen by fear was returned to the truth. I turn to the child. This space, I say, is yours if you want it. They look at me. Then at Nadia. Then at my parents. And finally, they nod. The room doesn't erupt into applause. It doesn't need to. What happens next is quieter and somehow heavier than all the shouting that came before. Someone moves chairs. Someone else pours water instead of champagne. The music is turned off completely, like joy itself has agreed to wait its turn. The child, our child, even if no one says the word out loud yet, sits at a small table near the window. The same window Nadia and I used to fight over when we were kids. Moonlight spills through it now, silver and calm, touching their hands as if the night itself is trying to welcome them. I sit across from them, not as a bride, not as a speaker, just as the person who stopped running. I didn't plan it this way, I say quietly. They nod. I figured. A pause. I almost didn't come, they admit. I stood outside for 10 minutes wondering if this was a mistake. I stood in my closet for 20 years wondering the same thing, I say. That earns a small, sad smile. Across the room, Nadia sits with our parents. She looks emptied out. No performance left. No charm. No sparkle. Just a woman who finally stopped holding her breath. My mother keeps touching Nadia's hair like she used to when we were children. Over and over. Like repetition might rewrite history. My father stands near the door, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in a low, controlled voice. He isn't crying. He's doing something harder. He's acting. Accountability doesn't arrive loudly. It arrives with resolve. The gold cross is still in my hand. I hadn't realized I took it out again. The child notices it immediately. That was yours? They ask. It was your mother's, I say. She gave it to me the night everything changed. I place it gently on the table between us. For 20 years I continue, this object meant silence to me. Fear. Obedience. I slide it toward them. But it belongs to the truth now. They don't touch it right away. Then they do. Their fingers wrap around it, slowly, like they're afraid it might disappear. It's small, they say. So was the lie, I reply. It just took up too much space. We sit like that for a while, letting the weight shift. Eventually, my husband approaches. Carefully. Respectfully. Like someone entering sacred ground. Hi, he says to the child. I know who you are, they interrupt gently. You're the reason she didn't back down. He looks at me, surprised. They smile faintly. I watched her stand up there. She didn't do this out of anger. She did it out of love. My husband nods, throat tight. "You're welcome here," he says simply. Not pressure, not expectation, just an open door. Later, much later, the guests begin to leave. Not awkwardly, not whispering anymore. They leave quieter than they arrived. Changed. My aunt hugs me and doesn't say a word. My cousin squeezes my hand. Even the DJ gives me a solemn nod as he packs up. This wedding won't be remembered for flowers or music. It will be remembered for truth. Near midnight, my mother approaches the child again. "Would you like to come home with us?" she asks softly. "Just for coffee, or nothing at all." The child looks at Nadia. Nadia doesn't beg, she doesn't cry. She just says, "I'll be there. Or I won't. Whatever you need." That's when I know something has finally changed. Control has let go. The child nods. Coffee sounds okay. My mother presses a hand to her mouth, tears spilling freely now, not from shock, but from relief. I watch them leave together, slowly, carefully, like a fragile beginning. When the doors close behind them, I finally exhale. I didn't realize how much of my life I'd spent holding my breath until that moment. My husband wraps his arms around me from behind. "You okay?" he asks. I nod. I am now. Outside, the fairy lights still glow. The cake sits half-eaten. The dance floor is empty. But the night doesn't feel ruined. It feels honest. Before we leave, I walk back to the microphone one last time. No audience. Just me. I turn it off. Some things don't need amplification anymore. As we step into the cool night air, I think about promises. About the one I made at 16, to protect my sister at any cost. I broke that promise tonight. And in doing so, I kept a deeper one. To myself. To the truth. To a life no longer shaped by fear. Silence had its time. Tonight, it lost. And for the first time in 20 years, everyone finally gets to breathe.